Hi, and welcome back to Choco Disaster. I'm ChorpSaway.
And I'm FutureFriend.
FutureFriend? I thought you were stuck in a North Korean prison.
You know me, I get out very quick in these kind of sticky situations.
Oh, well, that's good to hear, because unfortunately, Jordan cannot join us for this show or the next season of shows.
Oh no.
Turns out that he actually became the anime ambassador to Spain, which is weird because I don't think he can speak Spanish, but, I mean, good on him for getting that job.
Chorps. Anime is punishable by death in Spain. I'm sorry,
Wait, what?
I think Jordan's lost. I think he's gone. I'm so sorry, Chorps.
I didn't know the Anime Inquisition was after Jordan this whole time. No!
You know it, buddy.
Oh, we'll have to work to get him back. Hopefully he can survive the season, because I think after that his term runs out.
Well, whatever.
Yeah.
He knew what he went up to when he was watching anime. He knew the risks.
And we know the risks, because today we're going to do the preview episode for the spring 2016 season of anime.
Oh boy.
Oh boy, it looks like actually a pretty good season. I was shocked at how many shows I was like, oh, I could watch this with my eyeballs.
I have got a lot of shows on my list, but as always, I expect to drop a lot. Like, I expect anime to turn bad at any point. Like, you think it's all cutesy and good, and then you like look at it and you notice it's just an ugly, misshapen rabbit beast.
Ew.
That's my anime opinions on the season. Oh, thank you for watching the preview episode, everyone.
Before we talk about that, though, we've got several news to talk about.
Alright. Tell me about the news.
First up, this was actually pretty recent. Apparently, a open source software used by, Studio Ghibli is going free.
Mm-hmm.
It'll probably be out by the time this comes out, but March 26th.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting, because I feel like that's one of those things that especially doesn't get released as, production animation software, just in general. There's all the, general art stuff that you can do in, your Photoshops, your Premieres, the storyboarding kind of stuff. But nothing that really explicitly comes out of Japan seems to, make it over. So I thought that was a neat thing.
I mean, I just thought it was funny finding out that, the fucking program the Ghibli studio uses, one of the most beautiful fucking animated shows, is called Toons, with a Z at the end.
Yeah, Toons. That's really cool. And also the fact that apparently also Futurama uses it.
Well, yeah, of course. I think, a lot of, American cartoons are just, animated in Korea, right? And they probably use a lot of tools from Japan.
Oh, that sounds about right. Apparently it also includes, 3D abilities, AI technology and stuff, and all kinds of different, post effects. So it's it is everything that you could possibly do with animation.
You think about it, if at one point, this is the program that finally rebels against us, and it's called Toons. We're gonna be cowering in fear 15 years from now about a program called Toons. It'll execute us all. That drat Toons.
In other general news, apparently there's been a man in Japan who has been prank calling the police pretending to be Lupin III, hundreds of times. In February, the first 2 weeks of February, he called 250 times to the police pretending to be Lupin and just, making fun of the police.
I'm sorry, that was me, Chorps.
Oh, what?
That's right. I called him and just asked, is your refrigerator running? Because I stole it! And then I started playing the Lupin III team and just hung up.
Cool, a week later that guy got arrested. And his final response was like, there are lots of things I wanted to say to the cops, but I think I badmouthed them too much. Yeah, he ended up getting traced back, and now he's been arrested. I thought that was cool.
I wonder, how long he's spent in jail considering Japan's criminal system. Is he gonna be in there for 6 fucking years for the crime of prank calling?
Cause, someone who leaked a Shonen Jump magazine early, I think got 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, holy shit.
So I could not imagine how much 250 prank calls would get you.
Oh, that man's gonna be hanged by dawn.
Oh no.
And the moment this corpse enters the last breath, you just hear Lupin the Turks!
Great. Interesting thing is, this season has actually also had a lot of crowdfunding sort of news. First off being that a anime for this coming spring season started a Kickstart, or not Kickstart, but a crowdfunding campaign on it seems like it's a website specifically for investors to give money to various productions.
Oh, so it's kind of like How to Fake works?
Kind of. So it's Mayoiga, which we'll talk about later, but they opened a campaign, because this is original series, to get additional funding for the production of the anime, looking for about 3 million yen, which is about $30,000.
Alright.
So I just thought that was a really interesting thing. They set it up for 2 months, which goes into the next season of anime from when it started, which is about the end of February. So I don't know how the money system for that works, but apparently they have enough money to get through the first half, and this is all to help make sure the second half goes smoothly or something. I just thought that was really interesting. I'd never seen a to-be running anime take this sort of approach to getting funds.
This seems like a fucking huge gamble.
Yeah, I mean, I assume that they would have done the anime anyways, but this is just kind of we want to make sure that the production is good through the whole thing, and we have, the money to continue.
Well, it just kind of sounds like they're fucking already thinking, man, the first season's gonna be so great, how can they not give us money?
Yeah, it's a huge gamble, because the show hasn't even come out, and the preview for it doesn't actually show any real animation to it. But it reached its goal, and in fact is now at 4.5 million yen as of now, with another month to go or so.
Oh, thank God, if it didn't reach its goals, they would just fucking film the voice actors just reading out the script, and that's it.
It would have been another Evangelion ending, where it's just a bunch of stills. I mean, it's nice that sort of thing exists, though.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a way to get additional funds, I guess, and it's just I'm glad that there's something specifically for Japanese production studios to get additional investors. Because looking through the other stuff they have, it's definitely a lot higher concept sort of stuff than just an average Kickstarter. So,
Well, I mean,
this is interesting.
The bigger problem is that you're still, if you're looking for investors instead of, just crowdfunding, aka the, regular Kickstarter deal, you're still gonna have to answer to them eventually, and, if it doesn't work out money-wise after the whole, Kickstarter thing, you're gonna be fucked.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But hopefully everything turns out on that end. Then, a couple other things. These are specifically for new dubs of anime. Mm-hmm. First, Funimation put one out for the show Escaflowne, which, pretty big, already had a dub, but apparently Funimation, acquired the rights to the extended version, or whatever, that has, deleted scenes and stuff, and so they want to redub the whole thing.
Alright.
And they reached that goal pretty quick. But it seemed weird that Funimation, of all companies, would require additional funding to, like, dub a thing. Especially something as, like, old and reasonably well regarded as something like Escaflowne.
I mean, I don't think it's that they're required to do it. I think they just saw it as like a cost-cutting thing that wouldn't cost them too much bad PR.
I guess so, because if they didn't reach it, they were going to just release the director's cut with subtitles only. So I guess it wouldn't have been such a huge gamble for them.
Mm-hmm.
But they reached that one pretty fast. Not unsurprising. But then there was another one that's for a show called Skip Beat that's going through a different production company. And if it doesn't get its dub, it literally won't get released in America at all. Because apparently the rights holders for that, TV Tokyo, absolutely will not release a DVD set without a dub in America. Because they feel like people would not be interested in a subtitles-only release.
Are you kidding me? Like, have you ever seen fucking American anime? Watch your huge weeaboos. In fact,
man, I don't know, but that's what they say. The dub is a requirement for the release in order to reach the largest possible audience.
Like, come on. Have they never seen the eternal subs versus dubs discussion?
Man, I don't know. But, they originally had this on Indiegogo where it was doing pretty poorly. And that might be part because they did, what's it called? The, flexible funding. Because if they got close enough, they'd probably still go through with it anyways.
Well, it's also that Indiegogo kind of like isn't as trusted as something like Kickstarter.
Yeah, I feel like Kickstarter has a much stronger reputation just for being more popular.
Well,
and it has like a longer existence.
Mm-hmm. Well, that and also like kind of look at Indiegogo. Like, if I didn't know there were some good projects on there, I would probably think that site is a scam. Like, everything about its UI just screams scam to me.
And flexible funding is always kind of a weird thing, because at what point will you still continue the production of this thing, and where will you just have lost a whole bunch of money that some people have now?
Yeah.
But since this Skip Beat release got on Kickstarter, it's already reached, like, more than a third of its goal over 4 days, which it hadn't even reached, like, you know, a tenth of its goal after, like, 2 weeks on Indiegogo. Mm-hmm. Apparently a lot of fans were like, actually we'd prefer Kickstarter, and then they moved it, and apparently that's worked well for them.
Yeah. Although I will say one thing, like, Kickstarter is kinda unfriendly to, like, Europeans because you can only have credit cards.
Oh, does it not? Does it only take credit card? I wasn't sure.
It doesn't have a PayPal option. And like,
which Indiegogo does.
Yeah, and I don't know about the rest of Europe, but I do know around here in the Benelux, credit cards aren't that popular.
Huh. That's interesting.
That's a little Europe fact for you.
Oh, well now we know more about Europe, thank God.
So, anyway, see y'all next episode for Choco Disaster, the Prime Anime/Europe podcast.
Great. Let's see, anything else exciting happening? Oh, Amazon Japan is starting to ship games overseas.
Mm-hmm.
They've officially made it so that at least video games and consoles can be shipped overseas with the additional funding. Not anything else. So it doesn't quite cater to like fans who want to get Blu-rays or manga or anything. But I thought that was just an interesting movement. I guess probably just because of how popular like those sorts of like third-party websites are for getting games.
Yeah.
Like your PlayAsias and such. So now you can just get it straight from Amazon and not have to worry about going through that and the additional costs that come from that. Which is pretty nice, honestly, I think. I wonder if this is popular enough if they'll open it up to, like, people who want to buy manga or light novels or whatever. Because I feel like that's a reasonably sized audience of people that they could get for that.
Oh, they're just gonna buy a bunch of porn shorts, don't dance around it.
Well, yeah, but imagine the money that they could get for it, is what I'm getting at here.
Yeah.
Speaking of Amazon, Amazon Japan has signed a deal to exclusively stream a particular block of anime TV series. It's from, I don't know how to pronounce this. It's the word animation backwards. I think it's like Noitamina, something like that, but every show that is now under that block for Fuji TV is exclusive to Amazon Prime Video in Japan.
Wow, so like, what, for example, would that be?
So, okay, so they're not moving any of the shows that were previously on this block to Amazon. So all the others, like Crunchyroll and Funimation, have a lot of shows from that block that aren't going to be moved. But, like, going forward, this season, they have exclusive rights in Japan and US to that Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress anime that's like pseudo Attack on Titan. So they have that. They would also have things like, if they went backwards, it'd be like Tatami Galaxy, Princess Jellyfish, kind of Eden of the East, sort of. There's a huge number of shows that end up on that. I think Erased is in that block as well.
Huh.
So that would be a huge chunk of shows that suddenly are Amazon Prime exclusive. Currently, it's only announced that Japan has this exclusivity sort of thing, but the fact that this Cabaneri show is also going to be exclusive to Amazon Prime Video in US doesn't exactly bode well, because I feel like Amazon doesn't run in that many countries.
No, well, Amazon is actually in a lot of countries. The big problem is just, like, once again, they only allow credit cards. Like, that's actually a huge fucking deal for me personally, because they have a Dutch site, but I can't use it because they don't use any of the things anyone in the Netherlands actually uses to pay online. Oh yeah,
that's right. And plus, you need a Prime account, and you're gonna end up with, like, one show a season for $100 a year if you're not using the other benefits of Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Which, it just seems like a really weird acquisition, because I also feel like Amazon Prime Video isn't, like, the sort of thing that would be, like, a big deal for streaming. Like, I get Netflix getting exclusive anime, because Netflix is huge. Netflix does so much video stuff, but Amazon is such, like, it's so much more of a shipping site that it seems weird that they try to focus on their video portion of their website.
Honestly, the more and more I hear about this, the more it kind of sounds like sites like Crunchyroll and Funimation don't really think about, like, their future licensing, because it just kind of seems like it gets snapped up when the fuck ever.
Yeah, I feel like there are certain studios that have, like, that always end up at certain streaming sites, but otherwise it's kind of a crapshoot, and I don't know if there's, like, negotiations that would require the kind of money that Amazon has to get that sort of thing. Because it also turns out Amazon Prime now has exclusive rights to the newest Kamen Rider series, called Kamen Rider Amazons, ironically enough. Like, I don't know if they commissioned this, or if this is just, like, a weird coincidence, or... But yeah, this new Kamen Rider, exclusive to Amazon Prime Video, they're really pushing, at least in Japan, this sort of, like, Amazon Prime is going to be an important streaming service.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like they really want it to be, but they're really not trying to, like, actually make it more accessible.
Yeah, I feel like there needs to be something, like, because with, like, at least with, like, Crunchyroll and Funimation, you can watch things for free with ads. If they started introducing something like that, that might be a better option.
Like, Netflix, for example, is just great, because it's like, I pay, like, fucking $8 to $12 a month, and oh boy, I can just watch, like, a series whenever. I want to watch Columbo, I can do that. Oh shit, they just came out with, like, their own original Daredevil show, yeah, I'm watching that. And with Amazon Prime, it just kind of seems like you have to go through so many hoops to find that.
Yeah, it's not well optimized, and there need to be changes if I think they want to make this a bigger deal. Then on the last bit of acquisition, Viz has plans to stream the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 4 anime, and also the rest of the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure anime, which they have acquired. Which means that it's going to be on Hulu, and it might be exclusive because Viz Media is kind of like that. Which is unfortunate for all non-US fans.
Fun fact, by the way, if you're, even if you use, proxy, like I use a proxy in Chrome to, be able to access American sites like Funimation, does not work for Hulu. So...
Yeah, Hulu is, way locked down, and the problem with that is, especially with, other things they've got, especially with One Punch Man, it's very difficult to find another streaming service for it. You have to go through Daisuke, which I think has weirder, sort of connections in Japan to, different TV sites. But this JoJo's thing, given that it's always been on Crunchyroll, I don't know if it's going to be on there specifically for Europe, but otherwise it's locked down for the rest of the world.
Yeah, that seems kinda annoying.
Yeah, they haven't announced if it's exclusive yet, but Viz Media tends to be pretty, stingy, I feel, in that way, as far as the things that they own. Because I feel like they have, the redub of the original Sailor Moon uncut, and they have that Hulu exclusive. And that kind of stuff. Here's hoping for, not that. Honestly. Oh, and that's all the news I had.
That was some hot news, Chorps.
Lots of ups, lots of downs, and predominantly stuff that happened not at the beginning of the season, so I don't feel super dated. But now let's get to the part that everyone's excited for. Where we talk about the anime we're going to watch, and the anime we're not going to watch this season.
Anime we're not going to watch, all of them. Alright, thank you.
What? No! Alright, so, as always, we're going to start and we're going to kind of do it in tiers. So this first one, we have our A list. These are the shows we're really interested in and have high hopes for. So first up, we have one of, I think, the most requested anime adaptations, maybe of all time. And that is the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney anime. Which, the fact that it's getting an animation, I feel like, would be kind of the best parts of all the parts of the game. Because you can skip out on a lot of the blindly wandering around trying to figure out what evidence to provide.
Oh no, there's gonna be an entire episode like that.
Oh, I'm sure, but you don't have to worry about you fumbling around trying to figure out everything. I'm sure Phoenix Wright will just know where to go all the time. You won't have to actually solve any of the puzzles, so the court cases probably will go a little more smoothly than your average gameplay. And I think everything's going to sync up a lot better, because while the game does a lot of stuff with kind of big reactions and stuff, the anime I feel like can have an even better use of that, because it doesn't have to worry about input and loading and things like that. So it'll be a prime experience.
Here's a little FutureFriend fun fact. I fucking love Phoenix Wright. Phoenix Wright.
Phoenix Wright is
love
great.
It. I have really high hopes for it. I did watch a trailer of this one, actually. I think this is the only anime I watched a trailer of. And animation doesn't look that great, so I'm kind of worried.
It feels very stiff, but also, as far as I understand, in Japan, it's a lot more of a very, straightforward sort of procedural. I think a lot of the humor came from its localization.
I don't really know about that.
I'm not positive about that, but I feel like that's what I've heard.
I don't really know about that, mostly because it kind of feels like the reactions to it are very over the top, and Phoenix is very much presented as kind of a straight man. I mean, it's still in the game.
Yeah, kind of a goofball.
It's still in the game files.
That
time a man gets so mad at him, he just throws his toupee at Phoenix's face, and it just kind of sticks there.
Yeah, or the time Phoenix Wright owns someone so hard that their, pompadour, disintegrates, and they go bald. And so I feel like parts of that will be there, and I just don't know about how, the script is going to turn out. But yeah, the animation is a little stiff, and the colors seem very washed out, to a degree, like very flat, kind of like, not dynamic. So, but it also only shows bits from like the first case, which is probably the most like grounded one. So I don't know if things are going to change as things go on later, if it's going to be more like fluid and animated and maybe not quite as stiff.
I kind of hope just like they spend one season per game, because that seems like the best way to do it, honestly.
Yeah, as from what I recall, there are at least rumors that it's going to cover multiple games, so it'll probably have multiple seasons. Since, 5 cases seems like a pretty good, like, pacing for, 12, 13 episodes.
Yeah, like, especially because, holy those cases can go on long. Like, actually, when I heard about this, I decided to start replaying those games, because it's been a few years, and, like, the fucking 5th case in the first game is so long.
Yeah, like, since trials are max 3 days, I assume it would more or less be, like, a day an episode.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the early ones, it's like, oh, it happens 1-2 days, and then you get the final 2, and it's like 3. And I feel like that kind of balances it out enough that you could have a pretty well-paced story for all of these. So it's going to be interesting to see, but I know that this is one of those things that I think a lot of people have clamored for, because it's sort of the perfect game to have an anime of.
Well, I don't necessarily know about that, because it is very much a game that's kind of long-winded and just talking.
I guess so, but I think a lot of that might be cut down through the use of animation. Just, like, get to the important bits. You don't have to have Phoenix Wright throwing his badge at everyone to prove that he's a lawyer kind of thing.
No, you have to! I will not accept anything else, Chorps.
I wonder if they're gonna leave in some of, like, the mistakes that you can make, like some of the accidents during the cases. 'Cause, like, they did the live-action movie, and I feel like that did a good job of balancing all of that together. But really, it just focuses on some of the goofier parts, like when Phoenix Wright has to cross-examine animals or inanimate objects. Like that sort of thing.
Wasn't the movie mostly just focusing on, like, the Von Karma case, though?
It has a couple cases before that it does focus on, and then it really pushes the Von Karma case.
Alright. I mean, I don't blame him, because that's the fucking best case in the series, probably.
Yeah, they're gonna give a lot of attention to that, but it's just one of those things I think is going to work well in animation from a game.
Okay, so, here, I'm gonna just put this out here. Von Karma will be voiced by Noria Wakamoto.
Oh man, that'd be great. That would be so good. Here's hoping, honestly.
But it's almost exactly like his M. Bison voice.
No, that seems about right. Alright, next up on our list, we have a Joker game, which is being done by Production IG. And Joker game is interesting. It is a spy thriller sort of series set pre-World War II in Japan. Which I feel is not a setting that's exactly explored a lot. Particularly if you go with, like, spy sort of thrillers, I feel like Japan is definitely not one of the locations that you focus on.
Well, I mean, it's also just kind of, from what I get, are kind of a setting, like, that's not explored a lot, because you're kind of gonna have to get into some stuff that's, like, overall, like, nationally a sore point.
Right, okay, yeah, because we're talking, like maybe 2 years before World War II kind of thing.
Yeah. Like, that's kind of when the country is mostly, like, under a bunch of, like, super hawkish conservative types. Like, that's mostly the government.
And it's based on a legit book, so it's almost James Bond-esque from what it seems. Like, maybe not quite as silly, but it's about this team of operatives for, the Japanese military that, like, conduct missions for domestic and foreign, like, espionage and assassinations and stuff.
Alright.
It seems like a very interesting concept, and the trailer for it makes it look very, like, if nothing else, really well detailed. It kind of, like, knows the time. Like, I think in the preview they even show, like, very propaganda-esque sort of, like, pre-World War II military figures.
Mm-hmm.
So it knows the setting that it's going for and kind of revels in it in a bit. Like, it knows it can't avoid those things, so it makes it a part of the series as a whole.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good way to handle that. Honestly, I'm kind of curious if like this is going to be one continuous story, or if it's going to be like episodic, like some kind of Mission Impossible kind of thing, you know?
Oh yeah, that would be interesting, because they could easily go with a bigger plot, but they could also they could honestly mix the two in that it could be like, there's a bigger thing going on as they do these singular missions.
I mean, probably. I don't know a lot about a lot of the animes besides the ones I'm familiar with through other media and JoJo, so I guess we'll just kind of have to see.
Yeah, but it looks good, is really the thing that makes me interested in it.
The fact that it's based off an actual novel and not a light novel, kind of, for me, at least gives it an air of legitimacy, that it's not just gonna end up being some weird titty thing.
Right, which would be weird given the setting and the overall tone of everything, because it looks very dark and serious.
Listen, buddy, at this point I expect every anime to become a titty anime at the drop of a hat.
Oh no! But I can't blame you. Next up, you got JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 4, Diamond is Unbreakable. Highly anticipated, follow-up to the 2 seasons of Part 3, Stardust Crusaders. Which, Part 3 was announced by the time that Parts 1 and 2 were over, but Part 4 kind of was in a limbo. We didn't know if it was going to be made.
I mean...
Especially since Part 4 is only the most popular part because it's Araki's favorite. Like, as far as I understand, in the public eye, it's not, like, as well respected as a part, but Araki just loves it and keeps pushing shit out for it.
I mean... I watched Part 3 and I thought it was fine, but it kind of seems weird that it's so well regarded.
Yeah, I can see that. But I think it's definitely well regarded because it's the start of what JoJo's Bizarre Adventure eventually became.
Mm-hmm. But, from everything I've heard about Part 4, the Part 4 just sounds way fucking better and great.
Yeah, Part 4 is a very much, slice of life sort of JoJo's. There's, realistically, the main plot doesn't happen until more or less the very end. And otherwise, it's Josuke and friends just kind of fucking around, and occasionally it's oops, we ran into a stand user.
Isn't it literally just Persona 4, but sometimes they fight against ghosts with their own ghosts?
It is very Persona 4-esque, yes. That it's a lot of just hanging out and making friends, and occasionally you have to beat the shit out of someone on a motorcycle or whatever.
Good, it sounds great. I can't wait. I fucking love me some JoJo's.
I wonder if it's gonna get the same treatment as Part 3 or something, where it ends up with 50-something episodes. Because it definitely has more content than JoJo's, or Part 3, but because it doesn't pertain to a grander plot, I don't know if they're gonna try to cut anything.
Yeah.
Because, spoilers for one of the, minor arcs. There's a part where they run into a baby who has a stand that makes the baby invisible. And it's just Josuke and, Joseph, trying to deal with this baby and get it back to its, get it back to its mom who's screaming to figure out where it went. Kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And so, that's funny, and it's, an entertaining, episode. But would they cut that for the sake of however many episodes they have is kind of my question.
Generally, I guess it will be kind of like how Part 3 was. If it just runs long, towards the end, it's probably going to be 2 episodes.
Yeah, maybe. And so, hopefully, I hope that they get the same sort of chance to do all of the story arcs from Part 4. Just because a lot of them are very wacky and silly, and give this very more lighthearted tone to JoJo's, which I think sometimes does it better. Just because they get to have fun with sort of these wacky-ass stand powers. And the characters really get to shine because there's a much larger main cast that I feel is also generally more interesting than Part 3's.
Honestly, from what I heard, it sounds like the actual main cast is, like, actually diverse personality-wise, like they have an actual personality.
Yeah, but the main personality that a lot of them share are they're huge fucking dorks.
Yeah, but, like, a big problem with Part 3 is that, honestly, like, Aftel and Kakyoin just kind of had no personality whatsoever.
It's still very, like, Fist of the North Star-esque, where everyone's just kind of mad and wants to punch.
Yeah, that's great! I love that shit!
But then, with Part 4, we have a lot goofier characters because they're all in, like, high school doing high school things instead of having to, like, travel across the world to beat up a vampire.
Oh, I'm sure they'll still be very mad and punch each other, though.
Oh, all the time.
Oh.
One thing that's a little weird about Part 4, though, is its art style. 'Cause, like, it is definitely more shoujo, a little more, like, feminine, kind of like the end of Part 4, as Araki, like, has a weird change to his style halfway through Part 4. But like, in general, it feels not quite like Araki's style. It feels almost fan art-ish.
Maybe.
From, like, the promo material that they've given.
I think in general it's also just that, like, from the way I get her, like, usually with anime they finish episodes, like, very late, the finishing touches.
Yeah, but they've had a lot of time to produce, like, these character designs and stuff, and the ones they've given seem very not Araki, I guess.
I think what they might just be trying to do is, like, kind of bridge, like, early Part 4 and late Part 4 art styles together.
Maybe.
And also there's kind of a problem with, like, a lot of Araki stuff, especially, like, later stuff, kind of has the thing that it doesn't really work well in animation, precisely because a lot of it hinges on, like, the really detailed shading and such.
Yeah. And it breaks a bit of that as it goes on and gets a little more feminine in his style, but I get what you mean.
Yeah.
Still, I'm really excited for it because Part 4, probably one of the best in the series. Thanks to its sweet cast, basically just thanks to its sweet cast, honestly.
Yeah.
And so, here's hoping for a good adaptation that gets all the time it needs.
Also, isn't just Hulu exclusive.
Oh, please no. Anything but. And then last up on Very Interested, so far all of these have been ones we'll both be watching. This one, I'm only going to be watching because I donated to the Kickstarter for it. Under the Dog, which is like this sci-fi, like, dystopia sort of, like, anime short that has switched through multiple production companies since its start and is finally getting released this season, digitally. And it was one of those things, it's like the first sort of, like, hi, I'm trying to make an animated feature via Kickstarter sort of projects. And there have been a couple since after that, but I guess just the fact that this was the first one is like, oh, I want to support this because I hope more things get produced this way. Because then they don't have to go through, like, you know, kind of all the different, like, politics that come with getting anime produced.
Yeah, I think also just in general, like, I have no fucking idea what this Under the Dog stuff is, but I think also just in general, like, if people can honestly, like, just, like, crowdfund and, like, just kind of do their own stuff, maybe they won't have to do so much, like, gross titty anime to pander to otaku only.
Yeah, I feel like if you can find the audience you're looking for, you don't have to have that same sort of pandering to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just seems, it's a very, like, action, sci-fi, sort of, like, dystopia fighting kind of stuff, and from, like, the previews and everything that they gave, it looks really nice, and I'm just excited that maybe I was part of a Kickstarter that doesn't suck. Because that's a huge gamble, because you don't know at the beginning exactly how things are going to turn out at the end. Like, when Under the Dog is like, hey, we had creative differences and we had to switch out directors and production companies, that's fucking terrifying. But then they released a trailer afterwards that's like, no, we're still, we still look just as good as we did at the start. It's like, oh, thank God. Kind of thing. Because you could run into, not to, call out, but, the Mighty Number 9 thing has been delayed for, a full year now, kind of thing. Oh, yeah.
And it doesn't... 4 delays, and,
And definitely, huge stylistic changes since it first came out. So, it's kind of everything is a huge gamble, and I really hope that this proves that this sort of thing is profitable in a way, and can, maybe change some of the dynamics that come with sort of anime production.
Alright.
So next we got the B-list. First off, some more shows that me and FutureFriend are watching. First we have Moyoiga, which we talked about a little bit before, is the crowdfunding one. But it is a original drama series about 30 young people who take a bus tour to a elusive village in the middle of nowhere where apparently they can lead a utopian existence free of the world's obstacles. Or at least that's the rumors surrounding it. And so everyone in this bus has their own goals with finding this utopia. And there's apparently some darker truth going on between the secrets of this village. The description for it ends with, what is the truth of this village facing the 30 people? You can't miss even one episode! It literally gives you the minimal amount of information and it's you want to know what else? Watch it. Kind of thing. It's a little dickish, but I mean... I feel that's sort of... with a sort of drama mystery series, that's really the only way you can go.
Oh, this is a series in which these people are gonna murder each other.
Alright, there's gonna be some kind of murder thing, or there's gonna be some kind of, horror elements for sure. But I guess it's how that sort of thing develops is what people are looking for.
I'm fucking savvy enough to know 30 people, that's way too many. There's gonna be some motherfucker who gets murdered, and then they're gonna get all paranoid, and they're gonna, go, to get in the utopian village, you gotta murder the others. So I'm looking forward to animate that, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's gonna be the bus crashes and half of them already are dead, and then they have to deal with the rest of the 15.
Yeah, and it's or Jason Voorhees comes, and one of them starts punching Jason Voorhees, and then, it's just a mess. Jason Voorhees just punches his head off. And then they go to Manhattan, but it's already it's already 90 minutes into the movie, and this movie is called Jason Takes Manhattan. Why did it take so long to get to Manhattan?
And I think the biggest thing about it that makes it tough to judge whether or not it's going to be good or not is it's an original series. Which means there's no context with which to say, people liked the original thing it's based off of or anything. We're completely in the dark about what it might be, because the preview video just introduces all the characters and then doesn't have anything, content-wise. So it's really hard to say what's going to happen with it, but I am interested enough in the concepts to give it the try.
Oh, the concept is interesting, and, honestly, if it's either gonna be, some murder mystery or, a fucking, battle royale thing, I'm just kinda curious about if they're gonna focus on, the characters themselves, because that's the kind of shit I usually like.
Yeah, because you have to focus on characters to some degree if you're gonna do that, because you have to care about the characters as they die, or, as they have to kill. It's done by a studio that predominantly has only handled light novel adaptations, which I wonder how much of a gamble this is for them to make money and stuff, because so much of it is very pandery.
You said light novel adaptation, so I am very skeptical now if they've got good enough writers for something like this.
Well, the thing is I feel adapting something is going to be different than writing an original series. And the cast seems diverse enough that it's not going to be some guy's surrounded by 29 women that all want to bang him, kind of thing.
Well, every day of my life, brother.
But that's another reason it's kind of skeptical. but it still gives off enough like good vibes that I'm interested in seeing it through, at least for a while.
I mean, let's just wait until the half show or end show, whatever.
Yeah,
which one of those two?
We'll find out. The other shows we have on this list that we're both watching. First we have Kumamiko, Girl Meets Bear, which looks like a very cute series, basically about a middle school student who serves as a shrine maiden and hangs out with a talking bear friend that she has made in the wilderness.
Mm-hmm.
And one day she's like, oh, I want to go to school in the city. And the bear's like, that's dangerous. I'm going to set up several trials for you to solve in order to see if you're ready for the human world, as it were. Which seems like a very cutesy, sort of like fun idea for a series. And honestly, I feel like in a lot of ways, if you can make kind of like slice of life sort of activities cute and interesting, that's really the best you can do with it.
I kind of have this on my B list as in sort of interested, mostly because it's comedy, and like anime comedies tend to be very hit and miss.
Yeah, I feel like comedy is such a huge genre that it's hard to tell what kind it's going to be. Because a lot of it focuses on very, like, over-the-top sort of reactions, for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that can go, that can go in multiple directions depending on the source of the comedy.
Yeah.
And I feel like with slice of life stuff, it's going to be very kind of like taking, very basic sort of like simple sort of, situations and then trying to like push them to the point of absurdity, which can work, can not, but again, from everything I've seen of like the previews, it looks like it has a good idea of what it is, in that it is about a girl and a bear hanging out. I mean,
I kind of hope it's good. I kind of hope it's not, because I don't want to watch too much anime. But,
I get that.
Yeah, we'll just mostly see. Like I said, comedy, especially in anime, is very hit or miss, and this could very well just be another Statue Boys.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later, but Statue Boys. Alright, next up, we have Flying Witch. Flying Witch being another sort of like, it looks like a very like down-to-earth, slice-of-life sort of comedy series. But maybe not quite, it doesn't seem quite in the same way that like Girl Meets Bear does. It doesn't seem very over the top. It definitely seems very relaxed with how it wants to present itself.
Like I said, my same kind of things lie here. It's an anime comedy, so it might be hit, it might be missed, so that's why it's on my maybe list.
And it seems like it is a magic series that how it reads and what it looks like isn't like, like Harry Potter-esque or very like anime. It seems very like traditional.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like, I don't know, Sabrina and the Teenage Witch-esque in how it presents itself, like very like low level sort of magic. Like, oh, they fly on brooms and can do very simple tasks. It's not like, oh, I can shoot 40 fireballs from my nose or whatever.
Just for some reason, the cat, like, half the time gets replaced with a shitty puppet.
Every time it has to talk, it very clearly becomes a Muppet that they filmed on a green screen. But I feel like I really enjoy sort of the low-key sort of comedies, like your Barakamons kind of thing, like where they take like a very like country sort of setting and basically just show the lives of people as they try to find ways to entertain themselves. So I have hopes for this. Plus, JC Staff is pretty good at animating, and it looks like a very, like, cute style.
Oh, it looks, like, really pretty. I'm actually kind of surprised, like, learning it was, like, a shonen anime, because it actually looks like a pretty, like, I wouldn't say realistic, but pretty close, like, to an anatomy,
Yeah, it seems very much like they kept close to, like, whatever pictures they took for their, their scouting.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always appreciated. Next up, we have Big Order, which I'm going to start up right away. FutureFriend, if you want to enjoy anime, I suggest you stay away from Big Order.
Oh my, is this a titty anime?
No, but it is the kind of shonen anime that has plot developments that you would be very mad about. And it's one of those things that I was really excited having read the first, 6 chapters of it, and the farther I got along, the more it's, vaguely uncomfortable. And not because it's, titty, but just, the developments are very, questionable and kinda gross in their own way. But it's just the sort of thing I know that you're not going to like FutureFriend.
Alright, I mean, I guess I just have, only 12,000 animes to watch instead of 12,001.
Well, thank God. But, to give an idea of what Big Order is, it's, if you know what Future Diary is, it is JoJo's for the audience of Future Diary. If you don't know what it is JoJo's for, a young teen audience that's really into edge.
Oh boy, is the main character gonna kill someone? It's oh man, I'm so sad about this.
No, he tries really hard not to kill anyone. The concept, I think, is cool, and unfortunately it is written by the guy who did Future Diary, which I really liked as, a young teen, and I don't want to ever go back because I know I would hate it. Probably. It's a very specific sort of, exploitative horror movie schlock to Future Diary, and it feels like he's trying to do the same thing with a very, action setting, and it doesn't work.
Yeah. If it's, honestly, the kind of exploitative horror movies, I only like is, shitty slasher movies where Jason Voorhees, fucking uses a power glove. That shit's great.
Yeah, and I get that, and, I feel like Future Diary hits that better for being more of a horror series, and this doesn't. But I think it's a cool concept, because it's basically just, a kid gets this wish, and his wish is that he wants to be a hero. And so what ends up happening is, basically for a split second, the entirety of the world kind of crumbles, causing billions of people to die, and thousands of people on the earth that are still alive are given basically stands. And then it becomes a quest for world domination between these multiple factions of stand users, which is neat. I really wish it was better. As a series.
Honestly, I just noticed that with a lot of animes where, just, kind of sticking around because of the concept is usually a bad idea, because, a lot of animes have great concepts, but then are just really bad.
Yeah, at the start, when I was, reading, it's oh, I'm really into this, and as farther as I got, I was I think I'm honestly going to drop this as well, as I suggest you do.
Yeah.
But it's disappointing. But this list was made before I had gotten that far, so that's why it's in this list. Drop it down to not interested, maybe poo-poo garbage. But we'll get there. Next up in sort of interested, we're now down to shows I'm watching. To start off, the second season of Concrete Revolution. Concrete Revolution being a show from 2 seasons ago. That's about kind of the evolution of superheroes in a very metropolitan sort of setting, and the development of these characters. And unfortunately, it hurt itself by doing this sort of non-standard storytelling with how it skips around time, because it'll be they do the first half of an episode in what is considered current time, and then they show us in the future where everyone's alliances have changed, and the dynamics of the world are so different, and they don't give the connecting piece to that to make it interesting.
Yeah, it seems like it's a very unnatural way of storytelling. Instead of showcasing the way the dynamics kind of fuck up and become different between the characters, it just kind of flops around.
It does that well a couple episodes. There are a couple episodes where it really does, the back and forth well, but predominantly it's just confusing.
Honestly, you could probably do something like that by just starting up in the future for, I don't know, half an episode, and then just kind of, going back to the past and showing how everything happened.
Yeah, and I think that would have worked better for this, but Season 2 is basically the the point that connects the future parts and the present parts of what was season 1.
Oh wait, like, it's not even connected in, like, the first season? That sounds fucking dumb.
Like, there's, a lot of it is like, the plots of each episode are sort of connected to the actions that they take in the 2 time periods, but the end of season 1 basically gives the character motivations that define the future parts.
Mm-hmm.
And season 2 is now the period of time in between the present parts and the future. I came out of the first season very, like, questionable if I was going to continue a second season. I want to give it a shot for, like, an episode, maybe 2, to see if it can pull me back in. Because I really liked the action, and I liked the art and everything about it, but the story just was, like, a huge disappointment, and I'm just hoping for something better out of season 2. Then I also have, Macross Delta on here. Macross being, like, a combination, like, space battle, pseudo-mecha idol anime.
Wow, that sounds fucking hot garbage.
Macross has, like, a pretty decent history of anime, though. Like, a lot of people regard it pretty well, and it's not, like, super high concept, sort of like Gundam-esque. It's a lot more like, giant robots versus, like, space fighter jets.
Yeah, no, I've heard of Macross before, but, I'm not much of a giant robot guy. Like, I think the only giant robot anime I've ever enjoyed was G Gundam, because it didn't really deal with, like, the drama of being inside a giant robot, but it was about a man punching several racist stereotypes.
And sometimes in a robot.
Yeah, it's great.
The reason I'm interested in Macross is because, you basically can't watch any of the other Macross series online. I don't think anyone has the rights to them for streaming.
What?
So it's a concept that's always kind of been interesting, but I've never had the chance to actually, like, look into it. 'Cause, like, I'm not big into giant robots either, but I feel like if done well, watching giant robots punch the shit out of each other could be cool.
I mean, yeah, like, if it's a fun series of just giant robots punching the shit out of each other, then I'm all for it, but, the way you said idol immediately was already like, yeah, this is something I don't want, because the idol industry fucking creeps the hell out of me.
As far as I understand it, is giant robots powered by the pure essence of idols.
Oh yeah, the pure essence, of course.
Like they sing to make the robots move or whatever. I just want to know what Macross is, and I've never had the chance to. So I'm hoping Macross Delta can tell me whether or not I should go back and look at any other things. Is basically what I'm hoping for out of it. But yeah, it could easily be bad. It could be all the bad elements of all the things that it is. But I hope it's not. I also put some other things on Sort of Interested because these are basically all my backup shows for if other things turn out bad.
Yeah.
Here we got Beyblade Burst. We got New Beyblade, starring maybe the best named anime character in a children's series in a while, Bart Owie.
Yeah, Bart, like good old Bart,
Good old
Bart
Bart.
Blade.
And apparently, like, the new gimmick is that these Beyblades can, like, destroy other people's Beyblades.
I mean,
like absolute destruction or something?
That doesn't sound like a gimmick, that just sounds like real-life Beyblades. Those pieces of shit, like, broke down so fast.
Well, yeah, but this is anime breaking. Because all the Beyblades also have, like, weird ancient spirits in them. I feel like I never actually watched a lot of Beyblade, but I feel like that's what kept happening, is there were, like, magical creatures inside all the Beyblades that powered them.
I'm very confused that Beyblade, like, is still a thing, because I remember at one point in my childhood, like, it was just replaced by Beat-em-on.
Huh.
But apparently Beyblade's still here, like, where's it been?
I don't know. Well, okay, so Beyblade for a while existed and kept getting anime, and then they switched to Bey Wheels, which is like a Beyblade, but they're turned the other way, and they're just wheels that go through, like, hoops and stuff and do tricks, and I guess beat each other up also.
Yeah, but it kind of seemed like, after a certain point, I think, like, after the second series, like, they stopped getting, like, shown in the Netherlands.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. And now I guess this is... I don't know how well Baywheels did, but I'm assuming since this is back to regular Beyblade, it did not do that well.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things like Digimon got a revival out of nowhere, and this feels kind of similar.
I mean,
so, who knows?
Digimon
Maybe
I
this is
can
good.
kind of get, since it's been, like, 15, 20 years, and, like, that's the prime age for, like, somebody to go, you guys remember Digimon? That sure was cool, wasn't it?
Yeah, I guess to a degree, and I guess Beyblades still are sold, so this is just a way to be like, hey, more Beyblades for you to buy.
But also, isn't Digimon, like, the new Digimon thing, like, exclusively to, like, feel to nostalgia?
I don't know. I don't have any nostalgia to Digimon, so I don't know.
I do, but I didn't watch the new one because I realized that keeping my nostalgia the way it is probably a good idea.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I hear differing things. I hear, like, the first one was not particularly good and kind of nostalgia heavy, and the second one was, like, pretty good, actually. I don't know. Maybe this is the right place to start with Beyblade. If I decide to drop other shows.
If I ever just want to die, like, I'll watch
Right.
all of Beyblades.
Well, here's the thing. All the rest of Beyblade's already on Crunchyroll. I could watch all of it.
Oh shit, you're right. Well, fuck this podcast. It's time to turn it into a Beyblade podcast.
Welcome to Choco Disaster. Each week we'll watch more Beyblade and talk about it and die. Okay, so then next up, on this list, I have Bungo Stray Dogs.
Uh-huh.
Bungo Stray Dogs is about literary figures that also suddenly have, like, shonen magic powers, and they all work together in, like, a detective agency to fight crime or something.
So,
And-
like, basically, the way you're describing this plot to me means it's either gonna be fucking great or it's gonna be really shitty. There will
Right.
be no middle ground with this. Like, I already know this.
Yeah, like, and so, like, you have, a lot of them are, like, Japanese characters that maybe you don't recognize. The biggest one probably would be, like, Ranpo Edogawa, since he got that series, the Ranpo Katan series, earlier. That sort
it
of, like,
sounds-
mystery kind of thing.
Oh yeah, that's like,
Sherlock
based
Holmes-esque.
off like basically the Japanese Sherlock Holmes novels, right?
Yeah, kind of like, Edgar Allan Poe mystery-esque.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, he's one of the, like, supporting characters, and a lot of the others are, like, big, Japanese, like, novel characters. So, the whole thing...
So here's the thing I want to happen in like Mungo Straight Dogs before you go on about
Okay.
opinions. I want them at one point to meet Perot, just because I want there to be like a very fat man with like a pencil mustache. Like that will be great if you ask me.
So, like, friend of the show, one of my friends of the show is like, Bungo Stray Dogs is hot garbage, but, Jordan, our beloved ambassador of anime to Spain, bless his heart, says, actually, Bungo Stray Dogs is good. So I'm at 1-1, and so that gives me enough leeway that I'm like, I'll wait to see what other people say about it.
I mean, if you want my opinion, it's worth at least giving him like one episode. Like I said, it will either be fucking good or it will be fucking hot garbage. It will just be shit.
Yeah, so here's hoping for a good... It already got announced that it's gonna have a second season, in fall. So it's gonna have a break, and then it's gonna have another season in fall. So, if it's good, look forward to 24 episodes of it. Then, also on here, we have, Boku no Hero Academia, which has just been, getting huge amounts of support. First of all, Funimation got exclusive rights to stream it and also all merchandising for it in the US.
I mean, that's probably smart. I see like everyone fucking posting that one frog lady. That's gonna sell millions.
And so, My Hero Academia, basically just about, like, superhero school, and has been, like, regarded in a lot of ways as, like, basically a successor to the Big Three, just given how huge it is.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people say also it's been consistently good this whole time, which I guess not like the Big Three.
Yeah, like, that's one thing I'm really curious about, because, I'm not a big fan of shonen anime for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think a lot of it is kind of, well, it's made for teens, so I think it's kind of like juvenile in a way that rubs me wrong.
Yeah, I get
And,
that.
So I'm really curious if it's, like, actually as good as people say it is.
Yeah, I like the character designs and all of it. Like, the art style looks really neat.
Yeah, I really like the art style.
There's a really great character who's just an invisible woman, and like they did like those character like 360 turnaround things, and for her it's literally just like a schoolgirl uniform with no legs or arms or head or anything. It's great. But like all of the characters just seem like distinct and interesting in that way, and the cast seems small enough that it doesn't run into like the Naruto problem of like being about school people. It seems like for the most part the cast is cut down to like 10 characters.
Okay, so here's one weird thing. Like, the guy with the Apollo Justice hair is supposed to kind of be like Superman, the superhero everyone looks up to, right?
Right.
Why is he drawn like fucking all the time, like he's fucking Thanos ready to go murder an entire planet? Like, what's that?
I don't know, but he's the symbol of peace.
What this guy looks like a fucking Fissa and North Star villain who's going to just fucking, like, take Ken's guts out.
Also, I like that all of their superpowers are called quirks. So it's like, oh, what's this guy's quirk? Oh, explosions.
But yeah, it could be good, could be also bad.
Yeah, I have high hopes for it, but it's also one of those things, like, I want to be more interested in it, but for some reason, like, it just doesn't, like, speak to me in the same way that, like, the garbage I watch speaks to me. So maybe I'll give it an episode and see if it in emotion changes my mind.
I mean, I like superheroes. Like, you know me, I'm a big old American comic book nerd.
Right.
So for me, like, I could be pretty into this, but I just gotta give it a shot,
Yeah. It's got a weird, like, diaper baby looking dude.
Okay, I'm out of here.
No, he's got a dumb weird sort of afro, and then his outfit looks like he's just got like a huge, like either he put like a bowl of ramen as his pants, or it's like just a weird metal diaper. Bless his heart.
Bless you, Urian.
But, and then I think last on here, Future Card Buddy Fight DDD is coming out.
Fucking please, Chorps, you have so much time.
No, these are things I'm not watching, but.
Alright, good. So here's the hot tip. I really like Future Card Buddy Fight because it's so dumb. It's basically just like a way dumber Yu-Gi-Oh! But also
it's Yu-Gi-Oh! If it didn't take itself seriously at all.
Yeah. The problem is though,
there's just so much.
Like every week.
Yeah, there's just so much of it. I have missed an entire, 50-episode season of it, so I cannot justify watching Triple D, but Future Card Buddy Fight Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives seems like it'll be a grand old time if you've kept up with Future Card Buddy Fight.
It's so... I love it. I kind of just love Future Card Buddy Fight's, brand of being the fucking dumb so much,
There's a part where the main character gets, called out for having such incredible luck that he draws everything he needs. He just laughs in the dude's face and then walks off.
There's just a monster. It was just called, Ogre, and all he does is, say Ogre, and he gets summoned every episode, so every episode I just look forward to this man saying Ogre.
The dub is really good.
There's a 12-year-old jetpack cop. It's great.
There's a guy with literally bananas for hair. He literally pulls off part of his hair and it's a banana.
He raps all the time and he's got a demon with him, like the fucking
named
demon Asmodeus.
Yeah, it's fucking incredible.
Oh my god. We should watch more Future Card Buddy Fight Chorps.
One day. But so I'm sitting at, basically, Boku no Hero Academia and Bungo Stray Dogs are my backup anime for if I find the time to actually watch other shows.
Yeah.
Because I could use stupid action all the time.
My main ones on the B list are probably gonna be, Mayoka, Bungo Stray Dogs, and Boku no Hero Academia.
Okay.
And, the rest is just gonna be, my backups are mostly just gonna be, Girl Meets Bear and Flying Witch.
Yeah, alright. So now we get to our C tier, our maybe, maybe nots. So we'll go through these a bit faster. First up, Panda Piece. It's about 4 girls who make bread at school. It's like K-On! But with bread. It could also be a gross titty thing like the other things that seem to be K-On! But X. So that's why it's on here and not anywhere else. Because also Jordan at one point said he read the 4-panel manga that it's based on. It's like, this definitely looks like it's made by like an ex-hentai artist, and I'm like, I don't want to stick my nose in that.
Excuse me, the description is the cute and soft bread 4-panel manga.
You're right. It is cute and soft, apparently.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like some skeevy porno shit right there.
Especially with how bad, like, a lot of the food anime recently have been. You know?
Yeah.
Like, you have your gourmet girl graffitis, your Shokugeki no Somas, things like that very, like, gross erotic eating.
Honestly, like, even if this wasn't, like, some kind of, like, gross erotic eating shit, like, fucking watching an entire anime about, like, high schoolers making bread sounds like the biggest waste of time humanity has ever put into something.
I bet it's gonna be a short series.
Oh, it probably is. It's still gonna be the biggest waste of time humanity has collectively done.
Please, we haven't gotten to the bad part of the list yet. So next up, we have Sosei no Onmyoji, or Twin Star Exorcists. I realize reading through this again that it's supposed to be. This should probably be in the garbage tier, but it's basically, this dude definitely doesn't want to be an exorcist, but then it turns out that he's fated to marry this girl who is an exorcist, and he just basically doesn't want either of those things.
You kind of have to, like, be a priest to be an exorcist, like a Catholic one?
I don't know how these supernatural shows are. I mean, look, realism isn't important. Haven't you ever seen Hellsing?
I guess you're right.
Actually, Hellsing is kind of accurate to vampire rules, if I remember correctly.
It probably is, but it's also fucking Hellsing. I'm no
Right.
longer 14, so why would I give a shit about Hellsing?
So much edge. Vampires versus Nazis.
Man, I kind of still have, somewhere within my heart, there is still kind of like a soft spot for Hellsing in a way, so I will never want to watch it again.
Good. Next up, we have Kabaneri of the Iron Fortress, which is done by the entire staff of the Attack on Titan anime with the writer from Code Geass, and it is basically just more Attack on Titan, but not by that guy.
Wow, that sounds like an anime that's, like, pretty much mass-marketed to be, like, really popular, but also just shitty.
And the thing about it is, I found this weird because you'd expect them to be taking more time to actually prepare Attack on Titan Season 2, which is happening this year.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, I mean, like, I feel like, as a concept, Attack on Titan is not a bad one, because it's basically just people fighting insurmountable odds in the form of giant things, right?
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't have to be terrible. This is more kind of, like, zombie-esque in its development, but still very Attack on Titan.
Honestly, the way I see it, like, I think Attack on Titan's popularity is kind of, like, dying down, and I think they're realizing that, so they're kind of just milking all that shit for what it's worth.
Yeah, but still, like, I feel like you could do something interesting with that same concept, also without an author that's maybe so into, like, denying war crimes. So, I feel like this could be interesting. Unfortunately, it's exclusive to Amazon Prime. So, other people are gonna have to find a different way to look into it. But it could be good. That's why it's on the maybe, maybe not. I mean, like, there's no way to know. The animation's, like, a little weird, but still it has a concept that might be worthwhile. At least as, like, a dumb action thing, like, you know? That's kind of how I see a lot of it, is, like, this seems like it could be good, but given that what, like, material it's based off of, it could easily also just, like, not reach the heights it could.
Yeah.
Next up, we have, Kyokai no Rine, second season, which is by, if I remember correctly, the author of Rurouni Kenshin?
Isn't this... Like, this kind of reminds me of, like, Ranma 1.5's, like, art style. Isn't that it?
It might be that's the Ranma 1/2 person, but let me look real quick. It's Rumiko Takahashi. Inuyasha, that's the one.
Yeah,
no,
that's Ranma 1.5.
Yeah, and Ranma 1/2. So,
whatever happened to fucking her, like, going from Ranma 1.5 to Inuyasha?
And then this. And this feels like a combination of maybe both those things. Because it's very much about, like, a Shinigami who comes to the real world and kind of, like, interacts with these high schoolers, but also has his job.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very, like, classic sort of anime.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like, Rumiko Takahashi, like, kinda hasn't changed since then, and there's, like, there's a sort of endearing quality to that. Because, like, while those shows weren't great, like, they definitely don't have any, like, the weird grossness that a lot of current shows might.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing something that's so, like, abashedly, like, classical anime is kind of charming. But also it's a second season, and I think the first one was also, like, 25 episodes, so catching up at this point seems unlikely. But it seems like it's a neat thing to exist. Then we have, Tanaka-kun wa Itsumo Keroruge, which, slice of life school comedy, about a dude who basically just kind of, hangs out on his own, doesn't like interact with other people, and someone who just will not, shut the fuck up talking to him. Which is a decent enough, like, duo comedy thing, but a school slice of life, like, really has to have something that draws me in for me to be interested, and nothing about it seems
you could have
very,
just summarized
stand
it as
out.
school slice of life comedy, because that's like fucking... There's like 4 of those, like, every season, and none of them seem to be good.
Yeah, there needs to, for me it's like there needs to be something that specifically, like, stands out about it, and it just doesn't have that sort of thing to it. Following up more school slice of life, Sancha Sanyo, it's about a club of people that hang out, basically. That's it.
Okay, who cares?
Yeah, it's literally it. It just, it's like, I don't know, 6-7 girls hang out. That's it.
Okay.
Next up, we have on this list, Usakame. I'm having to look these up because this is so... Oh, right, that's the spin-off of TQ.
What the fuck is TQ?
TQ is an anime that is funded on literally hundreds of yen to produce every season and has gotten new seasons constantly. It's on like season 7 or 8. It is about a club of people who play tennis, except not really because they basically never play tennis, and it is animated like you would see like little characters on popsicle sticks, or like maybe like a Flash cartoon from the 2000s. And it is just tremendously popular, apparently. Or at least popular enough to get multiple seasons, given that it's made with, like, 0 money.
Man, finally, it's time for, like, 4 anime girls to just tween in place.
Basically! And so, Usakame is a spinoff based on a rival tennis club that is also airing. So, I mean, great. I'm glad that for people who like TQ, there is more TQ. Bless their souls. They're being pandered to so hard. Next up, Bakuan. Bakuan is high school slice of life, except they're in a motorcycle driving club. And, like, it looks a little too titty for me, but I feel like the juxtaposition of cute girls doing cute things and, like, legitimate, like, motorcycling is, like, a decent enough gimmick to give it interest. But also, I, like, a lot of them wear, like, the weird, like, tight biking suits, and it's uncomfortable.
Like, I just kind of wished, like, they would just fucking make, like, one of those, cute girls doing cute things animes, like, but only with the Hells Angels. It's just, like, 4 fucking middle-aged bearded dudes who have a beer gut just hanging out.
Or just do the cute girls doing cute things, but they all have the personalities of Hell's Angels. Like, just make it so that it's like a huge juxtaposition sort of thing, and maybe
cute
be more
girls
interesting.
doing cute heroin!
No! Or like, what's that terrible movie with the 4 middle-aged dudes deciding to become bikers? Roadhogs. It could be like Roadhogs, but with like high school girls. Next up, the Sailor Moon Crystal Deathbusters. New season of Sailor Moon Crystal, which apparently something was learned in between the disaster that was Sailor Moon Crystal and now, because the art style looks a lot better, and not quite as like weird and kind of off pose all the time. And also, Deathbusters is like the arc that everyone likes out of the original Sailor Moon. So you know what? If it's better, thank God. But I probably won't touch it. Sailor Moon Crystal was just like such a disaster.
I don't like Sailor Moon in general, but I actually kind of like really like that old art style. And I gotta be honest here, the manga art style just looks fucking disgusting, no matter how you shine it up.
The new season is like a mixture between the two, and it looks a lot better. It does not like push itself so hard to being like the manga style. It's not quite as like goofy as the original, but it's also just not as like pristine as like the Crystal one was.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like they finally found their balance. Thank God, Toei. It only took you 2 seasons, but like yeah, if it's like a massive improvement, maybe I'll look into it. But Crystal was just such a mess. Next up, we have Sakamoto Desuga, which it's a comedy series about a guy at school who's literally just the best at everything. Like, basically he just constantly tries to...
Hold on. I'm looking at the summary here, and let me just read out the first line. First-year high school student Sakamoto isn't just cool, he's the coolest!
The coolest! So basically, it's about this guy who starts up at a school, and like, all the girls want to fuck him, and like, they're just dudes who idolize him, and then people want to like bully the shit out of him to like knock him down a couple pegs, and he just fucking like wrecks their shit. And like gets to look even cooler. I read the first chapter of it, and it's things like, you know, they like steal his desk so that he can't sit anywhere. So it's like, oh, you don't have anywhere to sit, Sakamoto? And it's like, it's fine. I'll just sit on the window ledge. I get a better view that way. And he looks really cool, and all the girls fawn over him. And it's like, well, shit, the bully's fucked up. And I feel like that could be funny, but I don't know how you stretch that out for a series. Like, I feel like at some point you run into the point where you make the same jokes over and over with, like, this kid can't be bullied sort of thing. He's just too cool for that.
It's too cool for getting his ass kicked.
Or it's like, he's sitting in a chair and someone tries to pull it out from under him, and he continues to sit in his sitting position, like, perfectly still, as if nothing happened. Like, you can do that for a little bit, but if you're going to make it a full series, it seems like that's way too short-sighted of a gimmick to continue. You know what I mean?
He gets his head dunked in the toilet, but the toilet turns out to be a hot gun and starts making out with him.
Right, and also it's filled with shampoo. But, like, it just seems like one of those things that you really have to be careful with how far you push it, and a whole series seems like too much of that one gimmick.
Probably.
So if you're interested in the concept, maybe you just watch an episode and then stop. I don't know. Next one's just called Unhappy with a little music note at the end of it.
Yeah, that's definitely what I feel like when watching anime.
It's about 4 girls who hang out at high school.
Who gives a shit? Next.
The gimmick is that they all have shitty luck. And then, last one on this list, Ushi no Tora, 2nd season. Another sort of, like, Rene-esque, like, very classic sort of, like, shonen anime about a demon fighter and his sweet demon beast friend. And it is the finale to what was originally, like, a 26-episode, run. And this finishes the manga. And this is, like, the 2nd time Ushi no Tora has been on TV, and they're actually going to finish it this time, unlike last time.
Alright.
Which, I mean, like, I do appreciate that there is something for, like, classic shonen fans. Like, if you're gonna go that hard on, like, the very, like, classic sort of style, thank God.
Like,
thank God there's something there.
I'm actually, like, talking about classic shonen, I'm actually kind of surprised that, especially with the Sailor Moon remake, like, nobody's, like, ogling a Fist of North Star remake yet.
Yeah, it seems weird because I feel like that's always been a huge... Because the only thing Fist of the North Star's had in a while is that parody series that they did 2-3 seasons ago?
Yeah, and then it's also kind of like, watching the old Fist of North Star, like, anime, it's alright, especially for something from the 70s, but there's, like, a lot of filler, and, like, the animation is just literally 3 frames. It's just 3 frames per second.
Like, imagine if they got, like, Madhouse to do Fist of the North Star again.
Oh
just,
man,
like,
that'd be
huge,
so
disgusting
good.
punches all the time.
That'd be so, like, fucking... Like, I guess one big problem with it would just be that, like, with current anime TV, you can't, like, show all the gore and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know how well, like, punching a guy in the stomach so hard that a hole opens up and then his head explodes would go over in today's anime climate.
I guess not, but on the other hand, I would get the Blu-rays for those, like, because that shit fucking owns. Like, I'm sorry, like, sometimes I just need something that's a bunch of, like, bad fucking over-the-top gore, and Fist of North Star is that shit.
But yeah, so that's all those. Now we're down to not interested. Again, we're gonna skip through these really quick. First up, Ucha Patrol, Luluco. It looks cute, but it's by Studio Trigger, so I don't trust it. That's 100% all it is. It's about this girl who I think falls in love with someone, and she works in, like, space or something. Like, she works as Space Patrol, like a space cop.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we have Kagewanai Show, which is, like, this weird sort of, like, pseudo-realistic, like, Lovecraftian horror series kind of thing. Like the dude investigates these very, like, grotesque horrors going on in the world, which could be neat, but they're all... First of all, it's a short series, so I don't know how well that translates, and the art style has never looked particularly, like, interesting to me. I'm not really into the grotesque, so...
Yeah.
There's that.
And I don't know, like...
It could be cool, maybe, but...
Like, I don't really like animated body horror stuff. Because I don't think, like, it's very imaginative. And a huge thing about Lovecraftian horror is also, like, the monsters are just unimaginable. And I kind of feel like looking at the art here, it looks a bit too, like, traditional, like, body horror stuff for that.
Yeah, I can get that. Next up, I have this one still on the list, but actually it's been cancelled indefinitely. Shingeki no Bahamut, Monoria Friends is... So, Shingeki no Bahamut came out a year ago or so and was, like, widely popular. So they made this... They were going to do this spin-off, and for some reason it was just cancelled indefinitely. So, not interested because it doesn't exist. Continuing on. There's another adaptation of Gundam Unicorn coming out. From what I understand, this is based on, like, a series of novels, based on the Gundam universe, like the expanded universe or whatever. It's like Star Wars that way. But, from what I understand, they already did a series of movies that covered the entire thing. So this TV series maybe is just an update of that. It does say it's a TV edit of the OVA series, which, are they actually going to reanimate it, or are they just showing us the same shit over? Who knows? I'm not interested in Gundam. Next up, Kaido Joker 3rd season. Kaido Joker is a thing that's been running for a while, and I believe is in canon with Detective Conan? I'm not interested.
Yeah, but with the fucking...
Can you believe Detective Conan still exists?
Oh, I totally can. Like, that shit will never die. Like, the motherfucking otter will be rotting in the ground for, like, hundreds of years, and Detective Conan will solve his fucking 30,000 murder.
I think they said it's only been a year since it's only been like a year since the manga started, like, storyline-wise.
So that means there's, like, 3 murders every day.
He's seen at least 1 murder a day.
Like, holy shit.
Detective Conan's life sucks so much. I cannot believe the shit he puts up with. Next up, 12 Sai Chika na Mune no Tokimeki. It's about a 6th grade girl basically dealing with her worries about puberty and first love. Anyways, continuing on.
Actually, before we continue on, I want to say I'm looking at the promo art for it, and those eyes look fucking disgusting.
They're huge shoujo eyes on tiny shoujo heads. It does not look gross. It's like, oh, it accidentally sees her teacher kissing and wonders what it's like to be in love. So it seems like a very innocent series, but also,
The art style just disgusts me. Anyway, continue on.
Next up, Seisen Cerberus. It's based on, I guess, a mobile game, and it's a fantasy action magic sort of thing. Whatever. It looks painfully generic. Kind of like the other mobile game series thing coming out, Divine Gate, right now.
Oh, don't worry, that Puzzles and Dragons anime will solve all that.
It's not the season yet, you can't... Spoilers! Next up, Kuro Mukuro. It's a mecha thing, and it does nothing to differentiate itself from other mecha series. Oh no, wait, it's about a samurai piloting a mecha series, so maybe he'll use his katana to slice up the other robots.
Use a gun, you idiot!
Anyways, next up, High Furry. High Furry looks vaguely nationalistic and moe, which is a weird combo. High Furry is about like a weird like alternate Japanese future where most of Japan has been flooded and now is under seas, and so they have to like push more like naval school stuff. And so it's about these two girls who go to Naval Academy to become protectors of New Japan.
Oh boy, yeah, that sounds nationalistic as hell. I have no fucking need to watch both moe and right-wingers just wanking off onto the screen.
God, could you imagine, though? Don't, actually. That's bad. Next up, Magi. Magi? I'm never sure with, like, the Japanese pronunciation of this particular thing. But, Magi is about, like, the story of, like, the Arabian Nights, but as an anime? This one is, in fact, about the Sinbad. Not the comedian.
Man. Are you sure? Maybe he's voiced by Sinbad, the comedian.
Oh man, that would be so great, but no, about the other Sinbad. Which, I mean, like, I don't know, that seems kind of cool, but I don't know, Magi has never been a series that seemed particularly interesting. Maybe in part because of the huge booby genie lady.
Yeah, all I know about Magi is that they somehow get away with just showing bare fucking titties on screen.
Yeah, impressive.
Like, geez, Jotaro can't even smoke without being sensitive, but there's just a bare fucking titty.
Yeah, I don't know. Next up, more Cardfight Vanguard G. Just more of it. You like Cardfight Vanguard? There's more.
Just watch fucking Body Fight instead. It's the way better card series.
Yeah, like, Cardfight Vanguard, if you like the concept of card game anime, but don't like the over-the-top antics, Cardfight Vanguard is what you want. Cardfight Vanguard is for people who want to watch a card game show that is entirely grounded in realism.
That sounds like the most boring thing. There would just be an entire episode about just getting, like, the judge to argue about the rules with you.
And then a guy going around taking pictures next to the butt cracks of everyone at this tournament.
No, that's the most exciting episode.
That would be if they did a magic anime.
Oh, man. Anyway, next one.
So next up we have Endride, which is based on a mixed media project, which always is like a weird feeling, because I feel like a lot of those start as animes and try to spread out later. But it seems very much like just a very, like, shonen sort of battle series, and so, The art style isn't particularly, like, interesting or anything, and there are better fighty shows coming out this season from what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd much rather wait for one of those. Then we have ReZero Kara Hachimeru Isekai Seikatsu, which, as you can tell, is based off of a light novel. But, as far as I understand, it's basically just Edge of Tomorrow as an anime, which Edge of Tomorrow was based off a different series with a similar concept, so I don't know how many layers this goes.
Like, that's the thing I know as an anime. There are a lot of, like, fucking just outright rip-offs of other, like, IDs.
Yeah, because this is basically about someone who basically constantly has to relive the same days after he's murdered. He can rewind time and only he's the one who remembers it, so he has to constantly try to save this cast of characters, which could be interesting. Light novels worry me constantly, and this one in particular seems like it's basically he's just saving hot ladies. So, I'll pass. Did you have something to say?
No.
Okay, it sounded like you were starting
I
to say
have something to say about the last anime in a not interested list. It's called Shonen Maids, and I think the title should tell you enough about why we're not interested.
It's about a boy who's a maid to his uncle, and has to wear a maid suit. Apparently it's not gross, but I'm not taking that chance. I'm not interested in the concept either, but I'm definitely not making that chance. Then we have the poo-poo garbage. This is stuff we just... With one exception, this is all stuff that we just objectively consider bad for one reason or another. But first, FutureFriend is actually watching an anime in this list. Talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
No, I thought you were going to talk about it.
Oh yeah. So, Sword Guy, from everything I'm seeing, is going to be huge poo-poo garbage, but it sounds like poo-poo garbage that I just want to watch.
Wait a minute, did it get removed? Is Sword Guy no longer airing? Just a second, did it get pushed back? It's not on this list anymore.
Oh wow, it's...
Sword Guy has just completely disappeared!
Oh no! Sword Guy! Oh no!
Oh no! Alright, just a second. This is breaking news. We have to go look up if Sword Guy still exists. I can't believe it. Did it get cancelled? Oh yeah, it says broadcast unknown. They still don't know who's gonna do it, apparently. So, no Sword Guy anime for you.
Oh boy. Well, rest in peace, Sword Guy.
Well, that frees up a space for you to watch something worthwhile.
Alright.
So, next on the poo-poo garbage, we have Asterisk War Season 2. Asterisk War, bad. It's Sword Art Online, but worse somehow. Like, direction-wise and art-wise, so... Oops.
Oh boy.
Next up on this list is 100. 100 is an ecchi mecha romance school sci-fi action series. The ultimate school battle action science fiction comedy.
You're just saying a bunch of buzzwords here, Chorps.
It's about a guy who goes to school and he hangs out with hot titty ladies in mech suits. And probably touches them accidentally. Oops.
Aw. Whoops, happened again!
Next up, Super Lovers. I talked last season about how, this boy is a professional wizard is neat because it is a, original sort of, boys love thing, and when boys love is done well, I'm glad that the sort of, representation is there. Recognizing that there's an audience beyond, weird otaku gross nerds.
Mm-hmm.
But Super Lovers is bad. Super Lovers is about a guy who ends up with an adopted brother and they end up falling in love with each other. Don't do that, maybe.
No, don't. Okay, here's a hot thing from a man like her, such as myself. Don't fuck your brother. Just don't do it. It's not hard. It's not, you just don't have to do it.
Yeah, it's and I think this is a big issue, is a lot of the boys love things that get animes are bad. They're objectively bad material, Junjo Romantica, which is huge.
Oh, yeah.
But also sucks.
Oh yeah, no, this is kind of a thing, I don't know if you want to cut this out, but this is kind of a thing why I don't watch a lot of, boys love stuff. A lot of it is, really fucking rapey, too.
Yeah, no, that's a huge thing about Junjo Romantica, and, I feel like you can find better boys love. There has to be better boys love stuff, just by the fact, there has to be good stuff in there, and it can't all just be exactly like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
As far as I understand, the one from last season is pretty good, despite being, a short series. I want a better representation for other anime consumers.
I mean, from the way I get it, it's apparently that boys love is mostly just made for, a bunch of, weird fucking creepy ladies in Japan. And then if you want, the real stuff, made for and by actual gay people, it's like Bara, right?
It feels like that a lot, and I wish that there was more of a cross, there was less of a divide there.
Yeah,
Like, it didn't just have to be one or the other.
I had never heard of, like, a fucking, like, Bara anime or whatsoever.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's ever done a Bara thing, so first of all, maybe some of those, and also maybe find some boys' love that isn't weird. Next up, I want to use the English title because apparently they decided to leave it as English, which is, and you thought there is never a girl online. It's about a guy who,
we don't even have to talk about it. I think the title says enough for it.
It really does.
Says enough.
You're right. It's about a guy, there's a girl, they probably accidentally touched boobies. Next up, Onigiri. Onigiri is based off of a titty, I think Korean MMO? It might be a Japanese MMO. Not positive. Either way, it's being held by part of Studio Pierrot, best known for Naruto, so thank God that they're moving on to shit like this.
This is what they're reduced to after Naruto, is having to make titty anime for, like, scraps.
Next up, Kisnaver. It's by Trigger, and it looks like all the characters are based on basically the edgiest archetypes you could imagine. I am absolutely... Trigger makes things that look really good, and then content-wise are hot garbage. And Crunchyroll has some kind of deal with Studio Trigger that they are going to handle every anime they make. So they got this picked up like a year before it was even announced for when it was going to air. Studio Trigger, please make something good. I want to like your art style and the things you do.
I'm sorry, they're never going to, Charles. Just give up.
They made Little Witch Academia. That's all I hold on to now. Next up, Terraform Mars Revenge. Also picked up by Viz Media, so it's only going to be on Hulu, but that's okay. Because Terraform Mars is about spacemen fighting weird, racist, cockroach aliens that also kind of look like African-American caricatures. The first season was remarkable only for the fact that they censored the hell out of it by just like covering up huge parts of the screen in black to avoid the gore, but then it turned out later that they just actually didn't want to draw it. So they just so they drew it in later for like the Blu-rays, released that to streaming sites, and removed the cover-up. Then we have Wagamama High Spec, the last one on this list. It's based on a visual novel, and it's full of titty. There you go.
Yeah, and that's anime.
That's all the anime airing this season, at least from this list that I thought would make it to the West.
Just what, Sword Guy will one day come back, buddy.
There's more on this list, but stuff that I don't assume is going to be picked up, so we didn't focus on that. But that's our list. Honestly, I'm shocked that I found, I had to cut down my list originally anyways, because there were so many shows I was, interested in. So I am excited for this season. A little cautious, because a lot of them are kind of maybe not sure really what the content's going to be like. But enough shows that I'm like, this seems like a pretty alright season, honestly.
It could be alright, I don't know, I'm still kind of
really
pessimistic, but that's just anime.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
There's some huge stuff, there's Phoenix Wright, there's Diamond is Unbreakable, there's, My Hero Academia, just some really big name stuff is coming out this season. And so, if nothing else, it should be interesting to see how all of those are treated amidst everything else.
Yeah. I do kind of feel like I'll probably drop some of these animes because it's still kind of, could be good, could be bad. But we'll see. I'm definitely very excited about Phoenix Wright and JoJo.
Yeah, it's exciting. I'm very interested in seeing how all of these different shows turn out.
Here's one thing though. I really hope they translate the names for Phoenix Wright because, I looked at the summary and it had Japanese names and that just fucked me up.
Yeah, I really hope whoever picks this up for streaming decides to, run with the localized names. If they don't localize the humor, fine, but at least the names would be hugely appreciated.
Yeah, Mostly because the names are also great. Like, Manfred from Karna is such a fucking good name.
And, like, you have all the pun names that aren't going to work in Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not going to be an equivalent to Larry Butts. Like, the best thing about his name is they use it in, like, a sweet catchphrase for him. Like, if something smells funny, it's probably the butts. Like, that's the coolest shit. But, yeah, that's really the only, like, specific thing I'm like, oh, I really hope this gets localized to hell, is, like, Phoenix Wright, because I feel like the audience for which this is being made is not the audience who really cares about the original, like, sanctity of the Japanese Phoenix Wright.
Oh yeah, no, like, a huge part of, like, Phoenix Wright's, like, charm was just its localization.
Yeah, and, like, no one complains about those localizations. What's the big deal with all the other ones? I'm not gonna get into this argument anyways. So, that's all the anime, and as I said, I'm pretty excited about this season.
I am cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, but it seems like there's a lot more shows on here than I would have expected from you coming back from your long hiatus.
Oh yeah, of course. Just look forward to my burnout next season.
Oh, thank God. Hopefully Jordan will be back from Spain by then. And before we finish up here, we actually have some fan mail that I'd like to read. It seems like the fans have been waiting a long time for us, especially this one that I forgot to answer a while ago and probably should have gotten back to. So, this one says, Dear Mr. and Mrs. Disaster, I have made a career of improving some of the greatest fights in anime, but I noticed that a lot of fight scenes in recent anime have been bad, and also awful. There's no rhythm, no pacing, none of the blows have any real weight to them. But my question is, what elements do you think are most important for a great anime fight scene? Yours truly, Goku Stuntman. Well, thank you, first of all, Goku Stuntman, for your hard work on Dragon Ball Z, and for your question.
I would like to thank you for saving the planet many a times.
Yes. Well, he must have saved it, because Goku wasn't doing all that. Goku was sitting on the sideline drinking a lemonade. I presume, by the fact that he has a stuntman.
He was just drinking a beer, like whenever he needed a spirit bomb, he would just need to sit down for a moment, just like pull out a brewski.
Right.
Because, Goku, he was known for constantly carrying around a mini fridge with him.
Exactly. Alright, so, I definitely feel like when it comes to a good fight sequence, the flow is really important. You have to have enough context to know what's happening at each point in a fight to really feel invested in it. Like, I feel like a lot of the weird sort of, like, cutaways that fights have really hurt the pacing of fight sequences.
I mean, that's also just a problem with, like, modern-day Hollywood movies a lot of time.
Yeah, I feel like this isn't a specifically anime thing. I feel like, in general, it is difficult to find a good pace to fight sequences to make them feel exciting and also like there's any weight behind them.
It feels in general, like, kind of weird, though, that, like, for example, they do stuff like modern Hollywood, because for modern Hollywood, it's mostly done because of time and such, and because, you don't want this actor you invested millions in to actually get hurt.
Right, you don't want him to actually get punched in the face.
Yeah. Like, with anime, you can literally just fucking do whatever.
Yeah, and I feel like that is used in the wrong ways a lot of time. Mm-hmm. That sort of freedom.
I think in general, like, one of the things I really kind of wish, like, anime fights had a lot more of to be better is, like, for lack of a better term, like, consequences. Because a lot of anime generally is like, this dude gets hit. It's like a fucking fighting game, Like, no one ever really gets hurt until the end of the fight.
Yeah.
And, like, show someone, like, if someone gets fucked up and hit, like, show them actually, like, feeling being fucked up,
Yeah, and I feel like maybe anime that are more dedicated to kind of that brutal sort of thing, like a Ashita no Joe kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, things like that, I feel like, that are more about boxing or actual fighting, probably play that better. but definitely a lot more of the action ones are about, like, constantly, like, one-upping each other.
Yes. Honestly, I kind of feel like everyone who, like, makes fight scenes in, like, any medium whatsoever, needs to check out, like, two kind of action scenes. Like, both have kind of a different tone. I'm sure you've probably heard someone say this a lot, but I think one scene, like, in particular that people need to check out for, like, kind of what more dark, realistic, like, action scene is, like, the hallway scene from Oldboy.
Okay.
Which is just a very good, like, single shot scene. And if you kind of want to go more for, like, the kung fu, kind of more comical style, but still, like, shot really well, I would personally just go suggest, like, some of the, like, Hong Kong Jackie Chan movies.
Yeah, because
Like,
those
for
are definitely goofy, but you still feel like all of them have some kind of weight to them. Like, everything causes some kind of reaction.
Yeah, like, I actually sometimes rewatch this video essay. I think it's from an account called Every Frame a Painting about, like, Jackie Chan's, like, action scenes. And they are just really good if you're, like, heavy into that stuff.
Mm-hmm. So, really what it comes down to is there has to be, like, very, maybe not always realistic, but, like, no, actually realistic is the right word. Some realistic choreography. Like, everything has to feel like it matters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, like, everything also has to just be clear. You kind of have to, like, feel the hit in a way, you know?
Yeah. And I feel like in some ways that's not always important to a series if the fighting isn't the focus. But for a shonen series where so much time is placed into characters fighting each other, that's definitely something that needs to be focused on more.
Yeah.
So thank you, Goku Stuntman, for this incredible question. We appreciate your hard work and hope to see you more in the Dragon Ball Super continuation.
I hope you finally finish your journey over Snake Way one day, my brother.
You had to do that in real time. It was really awful.
Yeah, jeez.
Then we have this one, this new one. Hello, Choco Disaster and the FutureFriend. I wanted to know your thoughts on the recent wave of anime reboots with idols in them, like Aikatsu Stars, the new Macross, last season's Kumugi R, and the upcoming 4th and 5th seasons of Symphogear, as well as Show by Rock Season 2. Idols have always been a low-key part of the anime industry, but the sudden scrambling by every studio to get out an idol show at all costs is really strange. Love the podcast. Goodbye. Well, thank you, Anonymous. Sign your email, so I don't know. But, this is a question I've spent literally, sevens of minutes thinking about previously. This is something that I have thought about before. And I think, a lot of it is in part due to the runaway success that I think the Idolmaster anime was. Like, Idolmaster as a thing is like a huge multimedia sort of thing between the anime and all the, like, very similar video games that they've released, that at some point it became like, well, let's try to cash in on some of that, like, Love Live, and, Wake Up Girls, and the other, like, 10 or so, like, idol sort of anime that came out around that same time. And I feel like this is just an extension of that, especially with Love Live getting hugely popular with its, like, mobile game and all the concerts and the movies selling, like, huge amounts of tickets.
Well, my opinion is that I hate it. I really do. The idol industry, like, fucking weirds and creeps me out. It's terrible, yeah. Like, that's one of the reasons why I'm not a big anime fan in general, like, this weird, like, sexualization of, like, childlike innocence that, like, the idol industry has.
Yeah,
and
especially because, you know, they can't date or anything, and they can't, you know, they can't, have any sort of, like, relation with someone of the opposite gender in public. Like, even anything as innocent as, like, maybe talking or, drinking a coffee.
Yeah, and it's that, and the idol industry is also just kind of the fucking Yakuza has its hands deep in it.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, like, it's an entire industry that's kind of, for the most part, made so the Yakuza can find new girls to fuck.
Well, that's exciting. But
So,
like,
yeah, I really don't like the idol industry, and just putting more of it in like, essentially a medium that already has a lot of these problems. Just, yeah, not the biggest fan of that shit.
yeah, I think it definitely feels like in a lot of ways a lot of these are trying to be kind of cash-ins. Though a lot of the ones named are like things that either kind of have more long-running series, like the Macross kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or like have some kind of strange gimmick to them that makes it so it's not quite about idols, but they still do the huge same kind of like CD push that idols do.
Yeah.
Like, Symphogear is more about, like, girls in, like, battle suits, like, punching meteors away from the Earth, but also use, like, a ton of insert songs, because I think they're technically idols. So I feel like they're also trying to, like, differentiate how they present the idol format while still trying to cash in on the success that inevitably comes with the sort of, like, voice actor culture that goes on in anime.
Mm-hmm.
Because by putting your name on a thing, if you're a prominent enough voice actor, people will buy just tons of it. Because they want to hear you talk in a lot of ways, you know, like, that's why there's, like, the, like, drama CDs sell so popularly is because it's based on things where people just really like the voice of a particular person. Or a voice actor and want to support them.
Is that why a lot of, like, I've kind of noticed the thing with, like, Japanese voice actors is that they're not really known for their range, but more for their voice itself?
Yeah.
Like, I haven't really, maybe it's because, like, also just bear in mind that, like, I admittedly do not know a lot about, like, Japanese actors and such, or at least voice actors, but it always kind of seems like there's no, like, Billy Wests or whatever, like, known in that kind of thing where they're just known for, like, 1,001 fucking voices they can do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely there's definitely range to people in Japan, but also there are definitely characters that get typecast a lot.
Yeah.
Like, if there are characters that are really good at, like, yelling, they will constantly be given to characters that are very, like, dynamic and loud and kind of, like, active.
Oh, like, that one dude with voices like every huge ogre-like man must be getting fucking tons of cash.
Right. And, like, and so, like, there's this huge voice actor culture that I think sort of plays into idol anime, since they don't have to be idols for this to be true. They just have to be voice actresses that are probably okay with doing a concert or 3, or, like, 100, depending on how popular it is. So, it's the idol thing, like, I don't want to, like, support the idol industry more than it is, but I feel like it is branching out and becoming a different sort of cash grab more recently. I don't know. It's interesting how big this sort of thing has gotten to make, like, fake idol groups.
Anyway, I'm saying anime is good.
Yeah, you know what? Anime good. This is the sound of my gavel. And, court is adjourned.
We give anime the verdict, good.
Not guilty.
Not good, but will be hanged by dawn.
This section of the show has been sponsored by Phoenix Wright. Play the games, maybe. They're great. Check out this new anime wherever it turns up. Oh, well, that was fun.
Yeah.
And we'll see you guys in a couple weeks for the Winter 2015-2016 season review show, where we talk about the animes we stuck with, the animes we didn't stick with them, and why.
Yeah. See you then.
See ya.